So you're maxing out your 401k. Good for you. Pat yourself on the back. You're part of only 13% of plan participants who are maximizing their 401k contributions based on IRS limitations. Today, we're going to talk about 5 things that you should consider if you are maxing out your 401k. Hi, if this is your first time joining us, my name is Ryan Grove. I'm a wealth advisor and founder of Modus Vivendi. Today, we're going to talk about 5 things that you should consider if you are maxing out your 401k. Maxing out your 401k is based on IRS limitations. It changes every year. It goes up a little bit. Well, I shouldn't say it changes every year. It changes most years. It goes up a little bit based on some inflation metric. Right now in 2020, the most you can put into your 401k plan as an employee is $19,500 per year. First thing to consider if you're maxing out your 401k is, are you really maxing it out? So every once in a while I come across this. Somebody tells me they are maxing out their 401k. And this is based on the IRS limitations of $19,500 per year. But they're making their 401k contribution based on a percentage of their salary. Now, if you remember, I said that 401k maximum contributions go up by some metric of inflation. Well, if your salary hasn't been keeping pace with inflation and you're basing your contribution based on a percentage of your salary, maybe you're not hitting that $19,500 per year. If that's the case for you, I would consider going in and making your 401k contribution based on a dollar amount instead of a percentage. Another way this might happen is if you recently turned 50 and you were doing the IRS maximum contribution based on a dollar amount, but now that you're over 50, you can make a catch-up contribution of $6,500 beyond that $19,500 that you're allotted before you're 50. So if you recently turned 50, go take a look at your 401k plan and make sure that if you want to be maxing it out, you're including that catch-up contribution. Second thing to consider if you're maxing out your 401k is, when are you maxing it out? Are you hitting that max before the end of the year? If you are, you could be losing some opportunity. So 2 things can happen if you're maxing it out before the end of the year. The first is that you're not dollar cost averaging. If you're not familiar with dollar cost averaging, it's the way that you increase your probability of success within investing by making consistent contributions over time so that you're not running the risk of timing markets. If you're front loading your 401k, you're essentially trying to time the market, but without any sort of plan to do it. So split up those contributions over a 12-month time frame. The other problem that can happen is too much goes into your 401k and you're stuck with trying to back out contributions at the end of the year, and it's a pain. You don't want to deal with doing that. Third thing you should consider if you're maxing out your 401k is, should you be maxing out your 401k? I see this every once in a while. Somebody's maxing out their 401k, but they're doing it in a way that's sacrificing their other savings. They're not able to save anywhere else. Anyone who's doing that is running the risk of having all of their resources in the future subject to federal income tax. Think about a normal retirement strategy. You have Social Security and your 401k plan. Both of those things are subject to federal income tax. If that's you, you're not going to be able to play the tax game. And your financial plan is only as good as your distribution strategy. And a good distribution strategy needs to have diversification from a tax perspective, not just an investment perspective. So you shouldn't be maxing out your 401k in a way that sacrifices your ability to save into other tax buckets. All right, fourth thing that you should consider if you're maxing out your 401k is, all right, maybe you should be maxing it out. What's next? If you're maxing out your 401k, odds are your income's too high to make a Roth IRA contribution or to deduct any kind of IRA contribution. However, there are some ways around it. You could use the Backdoor Roth IRA method. The Backdoor Roth IRA is essentially putting a contribution into a traditional IRA. You don't deduct it, and then before the end of the year, you convert it over to a Roth IRA. Voila, income restrictions are gone from Roth IRA. However, a lot of folks I run into also have traditional IRAs sitting around with pre-tax money in them. If you have pre-tax money in a traditional IRA, the Backdoor Roth IRA isn't going to work very well for you. The IRS has something called the pro rata rule. You should look it up. If you're maxing out your 401k and you're doing it all with traditional 401k contributions, those are pre-tax contributions, take a look at your 401k booklet and see if there's a Roth 401k option. Remember, the Roth IRA has a lot of restrictions around how much money you can make, how much money you can put into it. Those restrictions are eased in Roth 401ks. So Roth 401k doesn't have the income limitations, and your contribution limitations are the same as your traditional 401k. Now, if this is something you're considering doing, you should definitely talk to your CPA or tax professional and make sure that it makes sense for you to be doing it in the first place. Fifth thing you should consider if you're maxing out your 401k is, are you doing it by default or is it based on a plan? Come across a lot of people who are saving a lot of money in their 401k just because someone told them that they should. And oftentimes they're sacrificing too much of their current lifestyle for a future lifestyle that they may never get. You have to live now too, and your financial plan needs to consider your current environment. All we ever really have is now. So there you have it. Those are 5 things you should consider if you're maxing out your 401k. Now, it's only 5 things. It's not an all-encompassing list. There are more things you should consider. And if that's you, feel like you need more insight, reach out to a financial advisor or financial professional or your CPA or your tax professional and see what's going to make the most sense for you. Thank you for watching. If you're interested in getting more insights into how we can reframe how we are both giving and receiving financial advice, please subscribe and you'll find out when we come out with more content, which we're able to do more rapidly now. We have a lot of exciting stuff that we can't wait to share with you.